Hello, and thanks for using TickBoom. This question here comes from a sample exam that helps people prepare for the Selective high school test in New South Wales. So if you're a primary school student looking to go to a selective high school in New South Wales, you have to sit a test. That test has a mathematics section in it, and this question here is just one example of the type of question you may encounter. I didn't actually have anyone send me this question through my website. What I figured is when I hit a bit of a lull in the number of questions coming through directly to me from students, when that slows down a bit, I figured I can just go and find questions myself. And one interesting area I thought would be these selective school exams, because you or someone you may know might be preparing for one of these exams, and unless you're going to one of those specialist coaching schools, you may not have a lot of support. So I thought I might be able to provide that support by systematically working through some of the more interesting questions. So this is the first one I thought I'd work through. Ultimately, as long as you know basic arithmetic, adding and subtracting numbers, you should be able to answer this. But I thought it looked interesting because of the way in which it's framed around this star. So the question reads the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 and 12 can be arranged around this star so that the sum along each straight line is the same. 4 of the numbers are missing, and the question wants us to work out the number missing at point S. So we're given 4 options, and we simply need to work out what is the correct option. So what I'll do is I'll draw up the star so that we can kind of see one way to think about this. I'll apologise in advance for my poor drawing. I probably won't be able to exactly replicate it, but we'll get the basic idea, I think. So there's our star, and there's all the points on the star that we're interested in. Now some of the points already have numbers, so we're told the top point here is the number 8. We have the number 6, 5, 3, 10, the number 9 here, and then we're told there's 4 missing. 1, 2, 3, 4 points don't have a number. And specifically, this point here is the one that they call point S, and we're told that there's 4 possibilities. Point S could take the value 1, 2, 4, or 12. Now, the rule that we're told that lets us work out how we can deduce what the number must be at this point S is that the total of any straight line, the total of those numbers will be the same. So every single straight line, the total of the numbers will be the same. And the key to this question is knowing that we've been given all the numbers across one of the straight lines. So once we have that, we can work out what that total is and then start to fill in the gaps. So ultimately we know that every straight line will have a total of 6 plus 5 plus 3 plus 10. And you'll need to be able to add that up yourself. That no calculators will be allowed in the test. So we'll go 6 plus 5 is 11, plus 3 is 14, plus 10 gets us to 24. So we know that every single line will have to add up to 24. Now from there, just looking at the way the star has been presented, I would then say this is the next best point to work out, because it's only got 1 missing in the whole line, and therefore we could go 24 minus the bits we've been told must be what's left. And at this point it might be helpful to write out all the numbers that are possible, and we can start crossing them off as they've been used. So we know we had numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, no 7, so it goes straight to 8, 9, 10, no 11, and 12. And that's important. If you were kind of rushing through this question and kind of feeling that time was getting away from you, you may not notice that little nuance that there's no 7 and there's no 11. And you might think 7 is a possibility. So it's very important to read these questions carefully. The best hope you have of doing that is staying calm. And the best way to stay calm in exams is to have plenty of practice, which again is why I think doing these kinds of questions can be helpful for those who are preparing for these kind of tests. So if I just methodically look through, we've got number 8, that's been done. Number 6 has been done. Number 5, number 3, number 10. Number 9 has been taken. And that leaves 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the 4 numbers that we can pick from. And unsurprisingly, they're the 4 numbers that have been given as the 4 options. So now let's work out this number here. I think we have enough information. We know that this point will be equal to 24 minus the sum of these points. So 8 plus 5 plus 9. And what will that give us? 8 plus 5 is 13. Plus 9 gets us to 22. 24 minus 22 is 2. So we can write the number 2 in here. And we can cross off 2, which also means we can cross off 2 from one of our options because we know this point here can't be number 2. We've already used it. So we're down to 3 possibilities. Now at this point, one of the benefits of multiple choice questions is you know one of these must be the answer because if none of these were right, then you wouldn't be able to select the correct answer. So you know one of these must be right. So what you could do at this point is do some trial and error. Why not just, and I'll use a different color, why not just go, well, what if the answer was 1? If I wrote the number 1 here, a point S, then what would that mean for the remaining points? Because now we're down to just 3 possible points that need to be filled. So if this was number 1, then I could deduce what this must have to be because 9 plus 1 is 10, plus 10 is 20, so this would have to be 4. And if this was 4, then the only option left for this point would be 12. Now, does that satisfy our requirements? Well, we know this particular line here does add up to 24 because 9 plus 1 is 10, plus 4 is 14, plus 10 is 24. So that's okay. But what about this line here? 8 plus 3 is 11, plus 4 is 15, plus 12, that gets us greater than 24. So that's not going to work. So actually I can cross out 1. 1 can't be our answer. So now let's just try the next one. And I'll use a different color. So we're not doing those. That's not going to work. So what if I pick the number 4 for point S? Well, if point S is number 4, then what must this point be? 9 plus 4 is 13, plus 10 is 23. So that means this must be the number 1 to get to 24. Now if this is 4 and this is 1, this must be 12. And let's see if we get 24 here now. So 8 plus 3 is 11, plus 1 is 12, plus 12 is 24. So we're good. We get 24 across this line, we get 24 across this line, and we get 24 across this line, and we know we already had 24 here, so we're looking good. So actually, C is the answer. Now if I had worked through that and it turned out that 4 wasn't the answer, then I know that it must be 12 because one of these must be right and I've excluded all the other options. And that's the beauty of multiple choice tests. If you've got 4 possible options and you've excluded 3, then whatever's left must be right. And you can still check it just to be sure. But we haven't got to that point because we've got to C being the correct answer. So there you have that question. I think designing it around a star is meant to make it look perhaps a little bit harder than it really is, because at the end of the day, all we've had to do to answer this question is addition and subtraction. So as long as you know how to add numbers and subtract numbers, and you're careful in reading the question, and you're careful in doing your addition and subtraction, then you know everything you need to know to answer this question. And the only other little hint or tip that you can follow is that you can use these possible options from the multiple choice nature of the test to just do a bit of trial and error. And that can be a simple way to go about a question like this. So hopefully you found that helpful, and tick boom.